€8 an hour, that was the exchange rate for my dream. You were told that wanting a big life is delusional. By who though? Look at who gave you that advice. People who quit on their dreams and want company in their misery. Wanting more was never the delusion. Believing them was. And I'm not talking to the people who already have everything handed to them. I'm talking to you, the one who was told this isn't for people like us. Broke, counted out, too much, too weird, too ambitious for where you come from. That one. Stay with me, because today you'll get permission to be shameless and greedy and totally unreasonable about your life, so you stop spending your years being polite about what you actually want. And before anyone calls this just another manifesting video, I've got a bachelor's in psychology, a master's in neuroscience, and I have coached for years people through this exact same thing before I ever pointed a camera on my face. So when I tell you that delusion has a mechanism, a real one, with a name that I'll give you in a minute, I'm not guessing. I lived it, and then I went and studied why it worked. So what does it cost you to be the sensible, the reasonable, the adult one? You shrink the dream until it fits the room you stand in, and you call that being mature. And every year you do that, you hand another part of your potential to people who already gave up on theirs. The first time I bet on myself and my potential without anything to back it up, I was 20. I was working on events for €8 an hour, 10-hour shifts in painful high heels, in a nice little uniform, handing out drinks or chocolate or flyers. Many weekends, sometimes the night after university classes, and every time it got really hard and exhausted, I told myself, Marty, imagine you are one of those movie characters. You are struggling, it's hard, but it's worth it. Because you have a dream. And oh girl, did I have one. I decided on something that everybody with my circumstances would call unreasonable. Government student aid for covering my rent, no parents with money to fall back on, many jobs at once. I was literally doing neuroscience experiments for a little cash. And I decide I'm going to Japan, alone, volunteering and couch surfing through the whole country for 6 weeks. I'm already learning the language. I plan every part of the trip. Every cheapest train. And I built a spreadsheet with my best friend, an economics and tech student at that time, and the most precise human that I know. We sit down and calculate the whole thing. How many shifts at which job? How much Japan might cost me worst case? And how much buffer might be left for nerdy souvenirs in the end. And then it's 4 years of feeding that little Excel sheet until I make it to the most expensive country I could imagine back then. Something my childhood self wasn't even allowed to dream about because it's not for people like us. Bullshit! It's just not for people who think everything falls in your lap if you believe hard enough. But for those who bet on themselves and then go earn it. That's the part people miss about delusion. I wasn't just manifesting and vision boarding on a couch. I was running the numbers. €8 an hour, that was the exchange rate for my dream. You're always working for something. The only question is whether you're working for someone else's idea of your life or your own. So why does choosing the delusion actually work? And I mean mechanically, in your brain, not in the universe. When you hold a belief your life doesn't back up yet, you create a gap. Up here, I'm going to Japan. Down here, broke 20-year-old Marty handing out flyers. Two things that don't match sit in your skull at the same time, and your brain hates it. And that tension has a name: cognitive dissonance. One of the most uncomfortable states there is, and your brain will do almost anything to shut it off. And your clever brain finds 2 ways to get out. One is to shrink the belief until it matches your sad little reality. Japan was never realistic. Who am I kidding? The tension dies, you feel relief, and you stay exactly where you are. That's the sensible option. Most people pick it every single time and call it growing up and being reasonable about your life. Or you refuse. You leave the belief exactly where it is and you make reality do the climbing. You drag your life up there to meet the thing you already decided was true. And that is all the spreadsheet was. The belief never moved. I took up more shifts. I learned about tax law because apparently I was self-employed now at 20. And the buffer grew €1 at a time. 6 weeks traveling through Japan. I out-stubborned that fantasy until it had to become true. You know, holding the belief on day 1 is easy. The problem is fear doesn't wait. The results will always be slower than you. 3 months in, 6 months in, 12 months in, and you feel that nothing has moved. And this little voice starts its song. Maybe it's not working. Maybe I did it wrong. Maybe nothing is ever going to change for me. That's the most important moment, not the start. That moment when impatience kicks in, when doubts flood the spot where the belief used to live. Most people quit right there, and they don't even quit directions, they quit emotionally. They just slowly stop expecting it. The dream quietly dies. That's the whole thing. That is what delusion actually is. The so-called delusional people, they're not more talented and they're not luckier. They just refuse to quit emotionally before the proof shows up. They keep trusting unreasonably strong. So then why does it work for the broke nobody, the 20-year-old me with the spreadsheet, and not for the people who told me to be realistic? Because I had nothing to protect, nothing to lose but the bare minimum every broke student had. And that is not the tragic part of starting from zero, but that is the whole advantage. Every shot you get to take is free. You bet on yourself, you miss, you land back at zero, exactly where you started. No downside, unlimited upside. The poor broke you is weirdly the most dangerous person in the room because you cannot actually lose. And I say this because I often get comments like, it's not about permission, the dream sounds lovely, but I don't have money. It's impossible for someone like me. I didn't have it either. That's what the spreadsheet was for. And I get it. It feels impossible for someone like you. But sit with what that sentence actually proves. You want more from your life. Otherwise, you wouldn't think that way. And that's not a flaw. It's the most normal, inherent human thing to want more out of this life. And then you say, but what if I try and I fail and I feel even worse in my already miserable life? Maybe for an eternal moment, but is not even trying really the safer bet? Is it better to regret not going for it? Because what if it does work? I know it feels so goddamn risky and impossible, but I don't want you to accept a life that you don't deserve. And when someone tells you, don't be so greedy, people are suffering in this world, who are you to want more? Then look at who always gets that lecture. It's never the people who are just taking everything. It's always the soft ones with the biggest hearts. The selfish ones don't even think a second about taking the whole time. It's the givers who get that lecture. It's the givers who won't allow themselves to receive, who are afraid to take. You are never the problem for wanting more. You just believe the wrong people about it. So I'm not handing you the 5 steps to become delusional. You don't need them. You already know how. You did it before anyone taught you to stop. Because I know that you also were a child who just assumed the big life is coming for me. Not hoped, but assumed. And then someone with a tired face told you to be realistic, and you believed them over yourself. So you don't need to lie to yourself. You need to stop waiting for something that will never come. Nobody is going to allow you to go for it. You have to take it. With a spreadsheet, if that's what it needs. So tell me the dream that lives in your chest, the one you went quiet about. Put it in the comments in plain words as if it's already happening. Not I'd love to one day, but it's impossible for me. The real version. And there is no dream too big or too small. Say it where I can see it, because those who write their dreams down are the ones this channel is for, and I want to connect with you. Forget realistic, forget sensible. You are the crazy one who bet on yourself before there was any reason to and then went and earned it. And if you are scared, you bet on yourself and you fall. Okay, my darling, but what if you fly?